If you are a Spencer character, do what you do best, dislike this video, and tell me that I'm a hater. Go ahead and do those things because you're not going to like this video. Go ahead and tell me that I'm hating on Errol, I'm hating on a black man, I'm running down a black man. You know, all those typical things that you Spencer characters say in my comment section on different videos on YouTube. And just go ahead and get ready because this is not going to be one of your favorite videos. You know, a lot of you Spencer characters, if not all of you, you easily buy anything that people say online on YouTube in these videos. You buy it hook, line, and sinker. You don't ask, is that true? Maybe not true. Do I need to check the facts? You automatically believe it. And then we have these debates in the comment section, and you repeat potential falsehoods, things that potentially are not true. And in these debates, I've been going back and forth with people about Errol Spence and Clean Boxing Program. People talking about, oh, he's already testing USADA year-round randomly. And then I come across Derek James in a recent interview where he went on the record saying that Errol Spence had been testing USADA since 2009, that he was paying for year-round testing himself with USADA. And that, he didn't need to enroll in the Clean Boxing Program because he was already doing it and because he was not ranked by the WBC. And in my previous video, I responded to Derek James, and I said that, that I did not believe Derek James. And I asked if I needed to contact USADA myself to find out the truth. And I challenged Derek, Spence, or anyone to put out a statement from USADA, put out proof that he was being tested year-round randomly by USADA. So I'm a man of my word. You guys have seen previous videos from me on here, my longtime viewers. You guys know that I will do my digging and do my research. And I did. I contacted USADA and I went down a trail and I found some interesting things. I said that if I found out anything, got a response on this, that I would post it. And here it is, the truth. Alright? That's why I'm doing this. I'm exposing the truth for all the boxing fans out there. Now let's begin. And before I bring this up, I copied and pasted my back and forth with USADA for privacy reasons. Not to put any emails or anything like that out there. Alright? So here we go. This is my initial email. Hello, I am a big advocate of clean sports and random year-round testing. Are you able to provide a list of boxers who are using your services for random year-round testing in and out of competition? If not, can you provide a list of boxers who use your services to test in the weeks leading up to their individual fights? I would like to know who is viewing this as a priority as I do and who, if anyone, subjects himself to random year-round testing. Thank you. That was a generic statement in question, not saying any names. I wanted to find out as much as I could in general about everyone. All right. This was USADA's response. I have their responses underlined and in bold print. Thanks for reaching out, and I apologize for the delayed response. USADA policy requires that we do not disclose testing details, including the exact timing and location of athlete tests. While those records are not available to the public, you can use the link below to search how many times an athlete or athletes in a particular sport have been tested in a year and in a specific quarter of that year. And here's the link. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out again. Best, USADA Communications. All right. Now, I had a follow-up question. Thank you for the response. If a professional boxer hires USADA to test them year-round or for individual fights, with the number of times he or she has been tested show up in the athlete history? Or would it be confidential and not shown in the athlete history? Thanks. This was USADA's response. USADA does not conduct by request testing for individual athletes. Let me repeat that. USADA does not conduct by request testing for individual athletes. What that means is a Nonito Donaire cannot go to USADA like he did with VADA and ask or hire them to test him year-round randomly like VADA does for Nonito. USADA will not do that. They will not accept money from an individual athlete to test them. That's what that means. So, right off the bat, that says that what Derrick James said on the record was not true. Errol Spence cannot go to USADA and hire them, give them money, or ask them to test him year-round randomly. An athlete cannot request USADA to test them. Only testing conducted for events, as in an individual fight, an entire fight card, I'm assuming that's what that means, conducted for events, promotions such as the UFC, governing bodies. Governing bodies would be the IBF, for example, if they want to hire USADA to do testing for them, or a state commission, if they want to hire USADA to do testing for them. I believe they would fall under governing bodies. Only testing conducted for events, promotions, governing bodies, etc. is included in the test history. Best, USADA Communications. So again, guys, that initial statement, that those first words before "so," USADA does not conduct by request testing for individual athletes. Now, you cannot ask or request USADA to test you. You can't. So, what Derrick James said was not true. All right. Now, let's go to the athlete test history. All right. And for anybody who wants to use this tool, this is how you get to it. Go to usada.org. You can either type in the link right there, the web address, usada.org/testing/results/athlete-test-history, or you can go to USADA's homepage. You can highlight testing and scroll down to athlete test history. Click on it and the page will pop up. This database is updated weekly. Last updated June 6, 2018. As I do this video, it is June 9th, 2018. So only 3 days ago. So this is very recent. All right. Now, to speed up the process, I think this year goes all the way back to 2000 or 2001. Errol Spence first USADA test in the athlete test history does not show up until 2008 when he was an amateur. All right, and you can select the quarter, the first, second, third, or fourth quarter of the year. The first quarter will be January, February, March. Second quarter would be April, May, June. Third quarter would be July, August, September. Fourth quarter would be October, November, December of any year. All right. You can search by sport, and of course, you can type in an athlete's name. I already have Errol's name typed in. All right. Now, I'm going to click search again so everybody can see that it is that these are the correct results. Errol Spence pops up. He had one test in 2008. He only had one test in 2008. All right, and all that's for the entire year. All right, this is his amateur career. All right, 2009. He had 3 tests in 2009. Again, this is amateur career. All right. 2010. Again, it appears he had 3 tests. Let me click the search button again to confirm. No change in the total test. So once again, he had 3 tests. All right. Amateur career, 2011. Search. He had 2 tests. 2 tests in 2011. And in his final year as an amateur, when he went to the Olympics, 1 test. Errol Spence, 1 test. All right. For the entire year of 2012. All right. Now, of course, as we all know, I'm going to go to his resume. He started his career shortly after the Olympics. He had 2 fights in November and December 2012. All right. Now, back to the athlete test history. All right. He only had 1 test during that year. And I'm assuming that is when he was an amateur in the Olympics. You know, because they would have tested him for those reasons. All right. So he had 2, minor insignificant fights where he was a heavy favorite to win his debuting fights. All right. Now, let's go to 2013, his first full year as a pro. Again, Derrick James said that he had been testing year-round randomly for 9 years that he was paying for himself, right? 2013. No results found for your selection criteria. Please change your selection and try again. That means there are no tests, no record, no history of Errol Spence being tested by USADA in his first full year as a pro in 2013. All right. And you can see his name, Errol Spence. And the USADA website, you see the address right there. All right. That was 2013. Now, let's go to 2014, his second year. Again, no results found for your selection criteria. Let me hit search again to confirm. No change. So in 2013, no USADA test for Errol Spence. 2014, no USADA test for Errol Spence. All right. Again, they saying that Errol Spence is testing blood and urine year-round his entire career. He's paying for it. He's been tested for 9 years. That's what Derrick James was on the record and said. All right. But yet, the first 2 full years of his career, no USADA test. All right. The guy who did not enroll in the Clean Box program still not enrolled. All right. Now, let's go to 2015. 2015, he took 7 tests. Errol Spence 7 tests, professional boxing. All right. In 2012, it did not say professional boxing, so of course there was a test as an amateur. These were his first blood and urine tests as a pro. He took 7 tests in 2015. Now, when did he take those tests in 2015? First quarter, January, February, March. He did not test during that time. All right. Second quarter, April, May, June. That's when he took the 7 tests for the year. April, May, June. Let's go to his box rec. 2015. This is when he took the test. All right, he took the test for the Sammy Vargas fight and the Phil LaGreco fight. Those were the 2 fights that he tested for, that he took those tests for. The second quarter of 2015, that would have been April, May, and June. And as you can see, those were the 2 guys that he fought. Now, I had to ask myself, why all of a sudden would Errol Spence take tests for those 2 guys? You know, was it because they had some failures at some point in their career? There was some suspicion on those guys. I did a search on Sammy Vargas. I could not find anything. I did not search Phil LaGreco, but I'm assuming if Phil LaGreco had cheated in his career, it would have been mentioned during the Khan build-up, and nothing was said. So the only thing that I can conclude is that he was starting to step up in competition during this time period. He was a prospect coming up. And I believe Errol Spence, even then, because he was a high prospect and name on the rise, he could say if he wanted or did not want, random blood and urine testing. You saw the testing for a fight. And as you can see, the only sort of credible guy that he fought during that time period was Larte with an O, 15-0-1. And of course, he got blasted in that fight. In the second to last round of that fight, he got blasted and then ran away pretty much for the last round of that fight. All right, so as he went up in competition, fighting guys who only had 1 or 2 losses, maybe that's why they wanted to test to make sure these guys were on the up and up, fighting Errol Spence. That's my opinion. All right. Now back to the test history. All right. So he took all the tests for 2015 during the second quarter for those 2 fights, because he only had a total of 7 tests during that year. To confirm, we're gonna search the third quarter. No results. Search the fourth quarter. No results. So all the testing he did in 2015, he took 7 tests, and it was for those 2 fights. All right, back to his resume. After Phil LaGreco, that would mean that he did not do random blood and urine testing with USADA for the Chris Van Heerden fight, nor did he do it for the Alejandro Barrera fight. He began the knockout streak that he is currently on. He began it in the Sam Vargas fight. Stopping guys for the first time in their career and overall consecutive KO streak. He began it with Sammy Vargas, tested for that fight. He tested for Phil LaGreco. Van Heerden, he did not. Blood and urine. Alejandro Barrera, he did not. 2015, he had already taken those tests. The only test that he would have taken during that time period would have been commission tests. Predictable tests when guys know when those tests are, and they can easily be passed by cheaters. I'm not saying Spence cheated or is a cheater or was a cheater, but anyone who cheats, they know when those tests are coming, those are easily beat. That's why random blood urine testing exists now. All right. So, stopped Van Heerden for the first time in his career. Barrera for the first time in his career. Did not blood and urine test leading up to those fights. All right. Now, let's go to 2016. This was kind of his big breakout year. All right, up to that point, that's when he got the two biggest wins of his career against Chris Algieri, a guy who was a champ at 140, and Leonard Bundu, who was a former title challenger, against Keith Thurman. Now, let's go to the athlete test history. We're going to go to all. In 2016, how many times did Errol Spence test USADA? The guy that they say is testing year-round, randomly, blood and urine with USADA. This is why he does not need to enroll in the Clean Boxing program. Click the search button. No results found for your selection criteria. As you can see, Errol Spence's name is in the first and last name boxes. Let's do it again. Hell, let me go back to 2015 just to make sure no errors. All right, he had 7 total tests for the year. In 2016, no results found for your selection criteria. So in 2016, when he had the 2 biggest stoppages of his career up to that point, he did not blood and urine test randomly by USADA for either of those fights, leading up to those fights or between those fights. He had last tested for the Phil Greco fight. You know. Then he had these 2 fights at the end of 15, and then the 2 big ones in 16. Chris Algieri, he was a guy who had been knocked down twice against Provodnikov. Got up off the canvas, outboxed Provodnikov, became a world champion. Then he vacated. He fought Manny Pacquiao. He got knocked down legit 4 times. Did not get stopped in that fight. Kept getting up. Went the distance. Then he fought Khan. You know, took tons of shots in the pocket, standing in the pocket with a beer Khan. He lost that fight. Did not get stopped, even though it was favored for him to get stopped. The odds makers had Khan favored to get a stoppage on Chris Algieri. And I know that because I wagered that on my birthday that that he would not get stopped by Amir Khan and that fight would go the distance, and I made some money. So, yes, because I factored in and figured that Chris Algieri was a tough guy, and I didn't think Khan would stop him. But then he got in the ring with Errol Spence. You know, no blood and urine testing for that fight. You know, USADA is right on their website. No blood and urine testing for that fight. All right. Same for Leonard Bundu. He stopped Chris Algieri for the first time in his career, and then Leonard Bundu stopped him for the first time in his career. You know, and what round was it? The 6th round. Stopped Algieri in the 5th round, as you can see. And neither of these guys have been in the ring since being stopped by Errol Spence. You know, going on over 2 years for Algieri, almost 2 years for Bundu. You know, these guys have not been back in the ring. And this is why I push for random blood and urine tests, hitting guys with this kind of power and their careers being halted. You know. So, you know, it's as documented, guys. You know, USADA testing for those 2 fights. You know, Mr. USADA, the guy who's supposedly using USADA for his fights. All right. And of course, what happened? You know, between the Bundu and Brook fight, he got ranked by the WBC. He had done no random blood and urine testing in 2016. Hell, not since this fight. You know, so it was what? Hell, a year and a half. Pretty much. You know, to the end of 2016. To where he had not been subjected to any random blood and urine testing. And in between the Bundu and Brook fight, he got a ranking from WBC. All he had to do was enroll in the Clean Boxing program. And I'm assuming take the test, as he said that he had to ask Al Heyman's guy, Brad, if he had to take the test. And he did not enroll. He got dropped in between those fights. And he knew that Kell Brook was fighting Triple G, just a few weeks later. This was August 21st, 2016. Kell Brook fought Triple G on September 10th, 2016. So he knew that it was going to be a pretty, a pretty big break, a good break before he got in the ring with Kell Brook, especially after Kell Brook got an injury in the fight. That meant an even longer break. And in between fights, he got ranked, did not enroll, and got dropped. That's suspect in my eyes. That's suspect. That's why I have said and felt the way I have about Errol Spence. All right. So let's go back to the athlete test history. 2017. He took 11 tests. He took 11 USADA tests in 2017. All right. Now, when did he take these tests? Quarter 1. He took no tests. January, February, March, he took no tests. So again, he went from June 20th, 2015. After that fight, he went basically a year and a half and then 3 more months. So that's a year and 9 months basically. No random blood and urine testing, according to the USADA athlete test history site. All right, no test at the beginning of 2017 when he did not enroll in the clean boxing program, when he got dropped from the rankings. January, February, March, no testing. All right, April, May, June, that would be the second quarter. He took 8 tests. That was for the Kell Brook fight. April, May, June, he took 8 USADA tests. All right, Errol Spence, as you can see. Third quarter, that would be July, August, September. After the Kell Brook fight, no testing. All right, no testing after the Kell Brook fight. Those 8 tests, those were for the Kell Brook fight in April and May. All right. Now in the fourth quarter of 2017, he took the other tests, the other 3 tests. He took 11 total tests. He took the final 3 in the last quarter. That would be October, November, December. All right. Clearly, those tests were for the Lamont Peterson fight, because that fight was announced, I believe, in November of 2017, and it was 2 months later in January of this year. All right, so those 3 tests were for the Lamont Peterson fight. All right, now why would he do USADA testing for the Lamont Peterson fight after he had not, of course, Kell Brook dictated the terms in that fight, because he was the champ. So Errol Spence, as champ, dictated the terms, for the Lamont Peterson fight. So why all of a sudden we do testing for that fight? It's pretty obvious, because Lamont Peterson had popped previously before. And for his own interest, it would make sense to do random blood urine testing for that fight, to make sure that he would be okay in that fight. All right, and not get cheated. All right, now let's go to 2018. Of course, he took 3 in 2017 for the Peterson fight. So far in 2018, he has taken 5 tests. All right, he's taken 5 tests this year so far. All right, now when he take those tests, all right, the first quarter, January, February, March, that's when he took the 5 tests. In January, February, March. And of course, they all would have been in January for the Lamont Peterson fight. Because, as USADA said, they only test for events, promotions, and governing bodies. Errol Spence cannot pay or request them to test him, in February, March. So it was for that fight. It was for that event. All right. Now, he's taken all 5 tests for Lamont Peterson fight. Of course, he took the other 3 at the end of 2017. He took 5, obviously, in January for the fight. All right. So in the second quarter, that would be April, May, June. That's the current quarter that we are in. No results found, no testing. So what does that mean, guys? That means that USADA is not testing Errol Spence for the Ocampo fight coming up next weekend. There's no testing being done for him or Ocampo. Blood and urine randomly USADA. The only testing that they are subjected to, as it appears, because of the USADA.org athlete history, the only testing that they are being subjected to is commission testing, predictable testing. All right, that guys know when they're coming, and if they want to cheat, they know when they can cycle off and beat those tests. You know, again, not saying that's what Spencer's doing, but saying in general, that's what athletes can do. All right, and as it appears, you see, as you can see, last updated June 6, 2018. If they were testing for this fight, it would have began when? In April. You know, at least 8 weeks before the fight. I would think April testing would be included in this second quarter for Errol Spence. And there's no testing showing up. So USADA's not even being used for this fight, guys. It appears USADA's not being used for the Ocampo fight. Now, I've already, exposed Derrick James' claims and busted him and what he said about Errol Spence testing randomly year-round, paying for it ever since 2009. You know, you cannot do that with USADA. You know, with VADA you can. Nonito does it with VADA. He pays VADA. VADA tests him randomly at his own dime, year-round. USADA will not do that. So, no, Errol Spence is not doing it. He cannot pay them or request that they do that for him. Only for events, only for fights or a promotion or a governing body. And it's not being done. And clearly, we have seen years in Errol Spence's test history where he had no tests. You know, 2013, 2014, and 2016. You know, 0 tests those years. All right. Now, what did Errol Spence say in a recent interview leading up to the Ocampo fight? He said that he told Ness and some guys before the Peterson fight that he had been testing USADA for his last few fights. Then he said for the Ocampo fight, he told some guys that he had been testing USADA for his last 4 or 5 fights. So let's go to his box rig. All right. Of course, we know the Ocampo fight, no testing according to the USADA.org athlete history. No testing showing up for that fight. All right. Lamont Peterson, he tested for that fight. That's 1 fight. Kell Brook, that's a 2nd fight. The 3rd fight, Bundu, he did not test. The 4th fight, Algeria, he did not test. The 5th fight, Barrera, he did not test USADA, according to the athlete history. You know, he did the last testing he did was for the Phil Greco fight. Not for Van Heerden, not for Barrera, not for Algieri, not for Bundu. So, again, Errol Spence, it appears you are not telling the truth, man. Your last 4 or 5 fights, there was no testing for these 3 fights, according to USADA's own website. So, you know, and people buy the things that that people say online, not just Errol Spence and Derrick James, but they buy hook, line, and sinker some of these things that people say online and take it to the bank. You know, I'm not buying and trusting things that, you know, a suspect guy in my eyes, a guy who did not enroll in the clean boxing program, got dropped from the rankings. You know, why should I trust, you know, some of this guy saying when he did not enroll in random blood and urine testing when he got a prestigious number 3 ranking from the WBC? You know, so I think it's all been laid out, guys. You know, it's all been laid out. I just went through Errol Spence's testing history with USADA. It's online for anybody to find and look at themselves. All right? This ain't hating. These are the facts. All right? Now, I pulled up Floyd's name. And let me say, I am not a Floyd fan. I was a fan during his top-ranked days. But around the time from the Hatton fight to the end of his career, I wanted to see Floyd lose. He got a gift against Castillo in the first fight, but I have not been a Floyd fan. But with most athletes, even the ones I don't like, I respect them for what they do in their careers when it's all over. If they have done it the right way, I respect them. And me not being a Floyd fan, I can say that I respect him. And after seeing this, I respect him even more. And I want to show this for everybody to see. This is the difference between a Floyd Mayweather and an Errol Spence. In 2013, for all quarters for the entire year, Floyd took 28 tests. He took 28 tests in 2013. How many USADA tests did he take in 2014? He took 32 tests. 28 and 32 in 2 years, all right? In 2015, when he fought Pacquiao and Berto, how many tests did he take for those 2 fights? He took 34 tests. 34 tests, all right? He was getting tested in the first quarter, January, February, March. March would be included in the lead up to his Cinco de Mayo fight, March, April, May. So for the first 2 quarters, and then for the September quarter, he was testing for those quarters in those fights. So 28, 32, 34. I did the math. In 3 years, Floyd took 94 random blood and urine tests with USADA. Now, they were not year-round signed up for a fight or not test. It was not those kind of tests. They were tests only leading up to the fight, and the weeks leading up to the fight. That's when Floyd took these tests, And I want, as I've stated, I want random blood and urine testing signed up for a fight or not. That's what I want. Throughout the year, just like the UFC does. They pay USADA to test all their fighters. All right. But even in the testing that Floyd did, in comparison to what Errol Spence has done, look at how many tests that Floyd was taking. He took a total of 94 tests. 94 tests he took. There it is right there. 34 plus 32 equals 66 plus 28. 94 tests in 3 years. So that that gets a lot of respect from me. All right. Now, I also wanted to show you. This is mixed martial arts. A lot of these fighters are UFC fighters, if not all of them. I'm not sure. But just in 2018 alone, in the second quarter, that would be April, May, June. The quarter that we are in now, April, May, June. Quarter still going on. So far, they have tested 383 athletes for a total of 484 tests. Some of these folks have been tested multiple times in just these last 3 months, including this month. A ton of fighters, UFC fighters, random blood and urine testing, sign up for a fight or not, in and out of competition. This is why the UFC and MMA testing is leaps and bounds ahead of boxing. This is what boxing should be doing. Testing all these guys. Look, Daniel Cormier, he has had 3 tests so far. This is what I want in boxing. These sanctioning bodies, they need to fork up the money, and or the commissions, they need to have these guys tested, man. The best guy, not even all the boxers in the world, because there would be a lot of money, but the best guys in the world, top 15 in every sanctioning body, every weight class, they need to be subjected to this kind of testing, guys. And finally, let me show you this. This is a total of USADA tests in the first quarter of 2018 for all sports, all athletes that they test. These are their totals, all right? In competition tests, they did 904 tests in the first quarter of 2018, January, February, March. 904 tests. Out of competition, they did over double. 2,083 out of competition tests for a total of 2,987 tests. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because this shows the importance of testing between fights in boxing. Out of competition tests As you can see, USADA puts more of an emphasis on that than in-competition testing. And this is what I constantly talk about. The in-competition testing, boxers, the 8 weeks leading up to the fight, they know that those tests are coming. You know, if they were to use a PED during those 8 weeks leading up to that fight, that would be very stupid. All right, because you know that you are going to be tested. That's why guys who are not subject to random blood urine testing, some, you know, that's why those guys potentially can, if they want to, they can cheat. You know, between fights, when nobody's going to come test them, they have time to cycle off. They can pass in competition test. Out of competition, that's when guys could try to cheat and when they could get busted. In out of competition, when they're not signed up for fights. So that's the importance, guys. That's the importance of testing between fights as opposed to simply testing in the weeks leading up to a fight. As you can see by USADA's own numbers, that's what they put their emphasis on. So I think that's it, guys. That's Errol Spence's USADA testing history. Anybody can look it up. It was right there for us to look at, to see the whole time, and I had the ambition to look it up and check it out. So, you know, Derek James talks about, you know, these hypotheses and guesses and all this and that. As I said, things I talk about in these videos in relation to Errol Spence, they are facts, man. And anybody can go to USADA's website and type the numbers in, type the names in yourself, and see it for yourself. You know, these are facts, man. No, Errol Spence is not testing year-round randomly with USADA in between fights. That's not what's happening. That is different than what he would be doing with the Clean Box program, VADA, and the WBC. That is a difference, man. They can show up at any time, test Danny Garcia, Terrence Crawford, Sean Porter, Jeff Horn, enroll. They can show up, test those guys between fights, and they would have to submit to testing. Errol Spence is not going to be tested between fights with USADA. He's not. They only test for events, promotions, and governing bodies. You know, he cannot hire them to test in between fights. USADA's own words. So that's it, guys. I'm pretty sure this will be highly viewed and highly talked about. But these are the facts when it comes to Errol Spence's USADA testing. He needs to enroll in the Clean Boxing program. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.